All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now 12 o'clock Eastern Time on June the 1st, and I wish you a happy new month, as well as hope you had a wonderful weekend over the Memorial Day weekend. We are recording this training, so if you are not able to come, this training is being recorded. So let's go ahead and get started, not to waste much of your time. We have roughly an hour to get through a good bit of material. My name is Ken Puidak, and I'm bringing you today a program that I call Former Big Four CPA Reveals 5 Big Business Breakthroughs for Your Small Business. I am that Big Four former CPA, and I worked for Deloitte back several years ago when they actually first started their consulting business. So at least 5 of the secrets we're going to cover today, these are secrets that big businesses have known for years. They spent millions and millions and probably billions of dollars trying to dominate the market, when quite frankly, they don't really need to, but they do because that's what they've been taught to do. In fact, I have a program also called Everything You Learned About Marketing is Absolutely Wrong, which is definitely the case. But secret number 1 is we're going to talk about creating your market dominating position that will actually obliterate your competition, especially the big businesses in your area. Secret number 2 is how to attract as many clients as you can handle using this one simple strategy. Actually, we'll talk about a couple of them, but it only takes 1 or 2 to actually make huge changes for your business. Secret number 3 we're going to talk about is how to charge what you're worth. That's about pricing, how to get paid. One of the biggest problems people have today in business is I paid all my bills, but I got nothing left over to show for it, take my family out for dinner or go on vacation with the kids. Then secret number 4 is we're going to talk about how fast you can grow your business without exploding and running short on cash. A lot of times we can get a lot of leads. We can work with a lot of people, but we're running up. I have several clients who have more clients than they can handle. How do they deal with that without exploding their business? And then secret number 5 is we're going to talk about cutting income taxes in half and even show you a way to pay a 4% federal tax rate. And if you live in a state like Florida or Tennessee or some other non-tax states, that would be the only federal income tax that you'll pay. So my goal in the next 45 minutes is to show you where you can pick up another $100,000 in new revenues without spending in a single dime on ad spend. And that is the crux of our business. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Ken Puidak. The name of my company, my consulting practice is called Small Business Is My Business. So I focus in on small businesses. Today's agenda, we're going to do 2 things here. One, we're going to cover 5 of the 12 business breakthroughs that you can use today in your small business. And I'm going to show you exactly how we find a minimum of 100K in additional recurring revenues in any business. And that's a big guarantee, but I've done it I do it several times a week, and have been successful in helping other businesses grow dramatically without spending money or extra money on their advertising budget. Again, to meet your consultant, my name again is Ken Puidak. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I've owned and operated 6 profitable small businesses over the last 30 years. I've authored a couple books. One was called 45-Minute Small Business Breakthroughs, which you can get a copy of at the end of this program. And I've also co-authored through an associate fellow MBA and CPA up in Wayne State University, how to start and run a profitable small business. When it comes to sales, I was a top 5 annuity producer for a company called Allianz, which is the largest insurance producer in the world today, and as well as American Equity and Fidelity and Guarantee. These are insurance companies. I used to be a CPA with Deloitte, which is one of the, I think today, the largest international CPA and consulting firm in the world today. I used to be a certified internal auditor and one of the first certified fraud examiners in the country, while I was working with Floor Corporation, a big 100 Fortune company. I used to be a registered investment advisor. I've been currently licensed as a real estate broker for the last 17 years, along with my wife. We run a successful real estate firm as well. And the principles that we're going to be talking about today, of course, we apply in that business. So when other people are complaining about the market, in fact, this past month, we've had one of our best months that we've ever had. So we're really excited about that. I do have an accounting degree from Bob Jones University in Greenville, as well as a Master of Ministries from Greenville Presbyterian Theological Seminary, which helps So a lot of things, but as far as you're concerned, as business coaching and consulting. Of major importance too, I'm a graduate of Tom Hopkins Sales Mastery Program, and you may know Tom. I've taken his courses for over 5 years personally, known Tom personally, been in his home, as well as with Brian Tracy, who's an international master coaching program, was in his program for a couple of years and became a strong friend of his as well. Of course, I'm a published author. I just have the books, contributed to a number of business magazines, and recognized as a business strategist, and own several of my own small businesses. Now, to give you an overall philosophy of what we're talking about today, so you kind of have a general bird's eye view what's going on. In order to be successful in business, you got to have your ultimate competitive advantage program, and there's 5 areas that this happens in. First one we call foundations. Once we lay the foundation, we can start working on getting profitable leads, converting more of those leads into clients, getting more transactions from those converted clients, and cutting costs in order to make more profit. Because, as I always say and have for years, it's not what you make, it's what you keep that counts. Of course, the IRS likes that too, because the more you keep, the more they get to take. And we're going to show you how to eliminate severely degrade their take. But inside those 5 areas, there's actually 40 places in your business, we call them business areas, that need to be dealt with. You can see there's 4 just in foundations, a whole bunch in getting leads and conversions and transactions, and generating profits by cutting costs, bundling your products and services, upselling, cross-selling. This is a lot of work for one person to be taken care of in the business. But, let's look at digital marketing, for example. I mean, that's one of those 40 areas. And believe it or not, this is where all marketing companies seem to like to start. But even inside digital marketing, you can see another 35 areas or so of things you got to deal with. And everybody wants you to focus on these. And if you look down the bottom here, it says most marketing companies start here, and they do. And that's Facebook and Google, but mainly Facebook. Number one, because everybody knows about it. It's easy. But here's the problem. For quite some time now, I mean, if maybe you noticed it too, that advertising in Facebook is like yelling into an empty warehouse, and it's costing you money. Even if it's 50 cents a click, people are seeing your stuff, but they don't always respond. And it's not always because you don't have the best offer. It's just that Facebook has done so much, in my opinion, so much damage to the marketing business that it make it almost impossible to target your precise clients, which is what you really need to do. So in other words, it's really become broadcasting. It's just like TV or the newspaper. Even a newspaper has a better market, in my opinion, for targeting customers than Facebook or Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So if you're a serious business, you might have something on Facebook, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money doing it. But that's where everybody wants you to start, and we're going to avoid that to a great extent. So seeing all this as a business owner, you can get very overwhelmed. In fact, on a scale of 1 to 10, how overwhelmed do you feel business owners in your industry are by these business demands? Most business owners tell me, somewhere around 8, 9, or 10 is how overwhelmed they are. And I'm sure you are too. And so the great news is, though, is that you don't have to focus on all 40 of those areas at the one time to be successful. Fact is, you as the business owner need to concentrate on 5 easy areas in business targeting. And focusing on those 5 will help you represent 80% of your revenue. Because if you remember the Pareto principle, it's called the 80-20 rule, you may know it by commonly, you can make small incremental increases in 5 key areas of revenue and profit and growth, and your growth will be transformational. This is not done by spending more money on ads and marketing, but by focusing on the most powerful strategies that generate exponential revenue, profit, and growth. So let's talk about those 5 areas, and bear in mind probably also know about compound interest. Well, it works the same in this area too, in working on your business instead of in it. And that's kind of where we're generally focused. And bear in mind that 80% of your revenue comes from about 20% of what you do every day. So you really want to concentrate on the best 20%. So 20% of 40 is going to be 5 to 8 areas. 5 in particular general areas are going to give you surefire reasons to grow or abilities to grow your business. So let's talk about what those 5 steps are. And I call it the 5-step profit formula. The first is, of course, getting more leads. How do you get more leads? Well, obviously you have to market to those people and get more leads, but you don't have to spend more money like the big firms do. So, well, the more we spend on television, radio, Facebook, Instagram, Google, all that kind of stuff, the more money we throw at it, the more leads. Well, naturally, that is true. Unfortunately, you as a small business owner don't have that kind of budget, millions and millions of dollars to attract customers away, particularly from the big businesses. And of course, once we get those leads, they're precious to us. We want to make sure that we can convert more of them. I'm going to show you a little bit later on how all that works as far as getting what the difference is between just converting 10% more of your leads into customers and what that does for your business. And of course, the next is to get more transactions from those converted customers. Once we do that, we can work on our pricing. Sometimes it means bundling our products and services, sell them as a package. Sometimes it's just a matter of raising the price, and we'll talk about that. And of course, making higher profits, that has to do with reducing cost, and particularly in the area of cost of goods sold if you're selling a product, or reducing your taxes, particularly if you're in a service provider. So let's start diving into a few of those things. And this is really a predictable pathway to compounding transformational revenue, profit, and growth acceleration. So if you want to grow your business relatively quickly and do it well without spending a ton of fortune, trying to make a business and hope that it works, let's do something that we know has a reasonable expectation of working. This is where I'm going to try to help you today. Now, when I talk to one-on-one with a business owner, I often will tell them, most of the time I'll tell them, there's really 12 areas that are of high probability of working on. Obviously, there's a total of 40, but there's 12 that we want to concentrate on. And the first one is always market dominating position. And then once we find out what our message is and who we're marketing to, it's a lot easier to get leads without spending a lot of money. And then we're going to talk about making a compelling offer, and then how to work clients who don't respond to that compelling offer, how we work with them after the advertising is made. And we're going to talk about increasing prices. Believe it or not, most business owners haven't increased their prices since the day they opened the door, and they're wondering why they're going out of business, particularly in today's market where all your costs are going up. Well, why aren't your prices going up? And then we're going to talk about cutting costs, particularly in the area of taxation, and how to take advantage of a couple of things that you can do pretty easily to reduce your tax bill in half, if not almost eliminate it. So let's talk about the first thing. That's called the market dominating position. And what we mean by that, some people call it your unique selling proposition, but it's really more than that. It's more than your elevator speech, but it encompasses those things. In fact, the key to a successful market dominating position is that you must be able to enter the conversation taking place in the head of your prospects. So you might have the right person in front of you, but if you have the wrong message, they're not going to hear you. They might as well be deaf or blind and can't see your message. Or another way to look at it is to be able to address the number one question your prospects are in your prospect's mind just at the right time. Okay, with the millions of messages they're bombarding people every month, just the right time, is kind of talk about a crapshoot. That's about what it is. But we're going to show you how to figure out when is the right time. So what is this entering into the conversation in the buyer's mind? Well, there's two things that are going on in the minds of every customer, a potential customer for you. First of all, they have a problem that they have that they don't want. I mean, just think about it. It's common sense, right? You got a problem, you don't want it. And the other problem is they said you've got a solution that they want, but they don't have it yet, okay? Or they haven't found you yet. Your job is to help people in the buying decision. You say, well, I'm not a professional salesperson. Well, if you're a business owner, you're a professional salesperson, whether they know it or not. You're always consulting people on why your product or service is going to help them. What's the benefits to them? As long as you focus on them, what's the benefits to them, you're going to have a pretty good success rate, and we can show you how to actually increase those success rates. But the fact of the matter is, you have to realize people don't want to be sold, but they do love to buy. So that's where you provide the solution to the problem that they no longer want, so that they can get the solution that you have that they really do want. Does that make sense? Yeah, thought so. All right, so let's talk about a market dominating position. Now, what do I do in my business? Well, the first time, if I take on a one-to-one client, or I can do this separately as well, to let them take off with it. But what I do is I build an avatar, and that is, who is your client? Now, our client here for small business, I call his name Michael. And Michael is a struggling small business owner, operator who dreams on becoming financially successful and have a lot of free time to be an owner, work on the business instead of in it. In fact, Michael's current focus is on cost-effective lead generation and increased customer conversions. Ultimately, Michael really wants to make a six-figure income and to work on the business and not in the business. And right this minute, Michael would be ecstatic if he could make more sales, properly price his product or service, and stop spending so much on ads that simply just don't work. Unfortunately, though, Michael still needs to figure out how to get more exposure without going broke buying these ads, stand out from the crowd, over his competitors in the same niche, and reduce his taxes and save for his retirement or whatever else he's got plans for. Michael's also really frustrated by the fact that marketing on Facebook and social media feel like yelling into an abandoned building. You ever do that before? You ever yell into an abandoned warehouse? I used to buy warehouses for a company about 15 years ago as one of my clients. And yeah, there's nobody there on the other side. You can yell all day long, but not going to be there. But he also runs into this problem that customers seem to want more service for less money. There's a way of fixing that. And we're going to show you briefly that today. And there never seems to be enough cash for himself. He never can seem to pay himself what he's worth. Plus, he still feels he needs to get the answers to these questions before he can move forward in his business. How do I increase my sales without spending more ads? He's saying to himself. How do I get more sales from current clients? What's the best way to get paid what I'm worth? Michael is also still hung up on the idea that you have to spend more to make more. He believes the big business lie that you throw more money at it and you'll make more money. That's partially true, but he can't afford to do that, so there are some better alternatives. Big businesses should take a lesson from it, but they don't. He also says he's hung up on the idea that I'm a business manager, not a salesperson. Yes, he is a salesperson. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in business. He's the number one salesperson. If you own the business, you're the number one salesperson in your business. You love your product or service more than anybody else. And believe it, we're all salespeople to one degree or another. We are all born crying and wailing, looking for food since we're a baby. That's a sales technique. Okay, it comes natural. That's how we communicate as human beings. He's also hung up that, I know I might need some professional help, but it just costs too much. We're going to show you a way how to get professional help without it costing too much. In fact, he feels like big businesses actually don't want him to succeed with cost-effective lead generation or increased customer conversions. When it all's said and done, Michael wants to live the life of a successful entrepreneur, spend more time with family and friends instead of working all the time, and finally feel in control of his life and his finances. Now, once I put these information into my system, which I work to develop with Dan over there at ClickFunnels, believe it or not, is one of the best marketers in the world today as far as online marketing, digital marketing. We can develop 25 emails, 25 ads, 25 responses, 25 web landing pages, all based on this information. Never two are the same. So we have a program to be able to do that, and that's one of the gifts, one of the services that we offer to many of our one-to-one clients. So how do we do this? Well, there's a thing we call the conversion equation, and every good marketer uses it. They may call it something a little bit different, but this is what it is. First of all, with any advertising, any communication to a customer, you got to interrupt them. Bear in mind, ad agencies are telling you that roughly every person hears about 3,000 marketing messages every day. So how are you going to get them to stop? How are you going to get them to hear your message out of all that every day? And you only know that they're only awake at most 16 hours on an average day. So what you got to do when you have your headline has to state the problem your prospect has and doesn't want. Remember getting inside your client's head. Well, number one is interrupt. State the problem that the prospect has and doesn't want. And that's what we develop when we're talking come up with an avatar like Michael. The second thing is to engage those people. Once they stop them, they have to do something. And so we have a sub-headline that states the promise of the solution they want but don't have. Okay. And then, of course, we give them education because we don't know where they're at in the buying thing. But people buy emotionally. That's the interrupt and engage. And they justify it logically. That's the education part. So people want information that we can provide either verbally or in writing that presents evidence to your prospects that you and your product or service are superior in every way to your competition. Now, you may not be superior to every company in your business, but you are in the minds of the prospect. You're the only one. And that's what's important, not being the best of everybody, but being the best in that prospect's mind. And so then you can make an offer based on that, which is the solution. It's an offer that must be so compelling and so irresistible to your prospect, they just can't turn it down. They'd be nuts not to do business with you when they're ready to do business. Okay. One of the things that we do, let's say if you have an advertisement, you're doing a magazine or an email or any type of written advertisement. It could be a verbal one, but generally we're talking about written advertising. I have a conversion equation evaluator right here. And basically we go over those 4 areas and then we include, a bottom one, a fifth one there about the power, passion, and precise and elegant format, which has some appeal to it as opposed to just a generic typewritten letter. Anyway, so we're going through, and what I can do is that you want to send me your advertising pieces, or I pull advertising pieces out of magazines all the time, and I score them using this conversion evaluator. You'd be surprised, over 80% of the ads out there today, and these are ads that are put together for the most part by media agencies that they're paying thousands of dollars to, and basically all they sometimes do is come up with a headline and then a call to action. Be a little surprised the number of people that don't come with a call to action, but 80% of the time, these people are getting less than a 3, even from professionals. And all it takes is just something so simple as a conversion evaluator. It's a scorecard, something like your test people in college or high school would say, okay, how many points am I going to give for the right, this type of answer? This is what they go through. So they add it up, get a score. Anything below 3, the ad needs to be reworked. Do not put any money on an ad that has less than the 3 or less. You really want a 5. Which means you hit all the hot buttons, and the call to action is they got to take action now, or I'd be a complete nutcase not to be able, not to do that. It's what you want your clients thinking. All right, talk about a compelling offer and make them an offer you can't refuse. You probably remember this one.
Remember when Marlon Brando in The Godfather said, "I'm going to make him an offer." That's the ultimate definition of what we refer to as a compelling offer.
Now, The Godfather, obviously, he believed in twisting arms. In other words, either that guy's brains or his signature was going to be on that contract. Well, we can't go around doing that. That's illegal. Okay, but there are ways to compel people to do things that they would convince themselves. And so, marketing really is strategic. It's been unduly simplified by business owners' failure to implement what we call the buyer's journey. This failure requires more repetition and more dollars to be minimally effective. And here's why. We're going to talk about what we call the buyer's journey. So every buyer, including yourself, including me, we go through this journey when we're looking for something. First of all, we become aware of a product or service, or we're thinking, we're looking for, we do a Google search for something that we just thought about. I do this, and at the stop signs and the red lights and railroad tracks all the time. I'm yell into my phone, Google, look up this, whatever it just happens to pop in my head. So I become a product. So, and then the next thing that's going through what we call the buyer's journey, the next step is, why should I buy? What is the benefits of owning this? What's going to make my life bigger, better, different than it is today? How's it going to make me get what I really want? Okay. And then of course they're going to come up with objections to ownership. Why shouldn't I buy? Frankly, the best salesperson in the world, the reason why I became a #5 producer with Allianz and American Equity out of 20,000 agents, mind you, and I was only doing that for 2.5 years. I was a CPA, had my own CPA firm. In 2.5 years, I sold that CPA firm, became a professional salesperson, mainly through the works of help with Brian Tracy and Tom Hopkins. Is one of the things I found in my presentation was I always brought up the objections that people are thinking, because one of the things one of my mantras is, if the prospect's thinking it, and particularly if he says the objection, is automatically gospel truth. As the salesperson myself, if I say it, he already disbelieves it, because anything that comes out of my mouth is suspect, right? So don't let him say it, because say the objection because it becomes gospel truth. Let me say it, negates that, and then bring up a mitigating circumstance. How do we get around that problem? It seems like a problem, but here's how we get around that. And just a little extra tidbit there. And then of course the last part of the buyer's journey is, once I know that I should buy it, that it's going to benefit me, there's really no solid objections, it's a logical conclusion, who am I going to buy it from? Well, like in real estate, most buyers of real estate, sellers of real estate out there, they pick up the first ad they see from a realtor. When they get to that point right there, is the one that gets the job. It's not necessarily the best one. And most people, believe it or not, 95% of people do not interview more than one agent. Just my experience in 17 years in that particular business. So the buyer is gathering information over time, and you got to be there at the right time. And I don't care who you look at, whether it's Fortune magazine, Harvard, all these studies that these people do as part of their doctorates in hundreds of industries confirm that only 3 to 9% of buyers are in the market to buy anything at one point in time. So when they see your message, less than 10%, is really more like 1 to 2% in my experience, are actually interested in what you have to buy at the time they see your ad. So what does that mean? Well, not only got to have a compelling offer like I do when I work in my small business consulting practice. I tell people I can find any business, and I mean any business. I don't care who you are. An additional, it says here, 10 to 50,000. That's minimal. I usually can find $100,000 in less than 45 minutes with them, and not cause you to spend a cent, not only on marketing and advertising, but you won't spend a cent on the consulting either. So that's a pretty good deal. So that's my compelling offer. How bad can it be if it's free? So let's take a look at it. Well, let's look at some examples, some clients. These are, I want to call them fictitious. We've changed the names. The ads were there, but the names are different to protect the innocent, as Sergeant Friday would say. But anyway, here's a financial advisor. He's a really smart person. He's got all the credentials and everything. And this is basically his primary means of advertising, is his webpage. And it's a copied webpage from other people in the same line of work. Okay. So the question I ask, well, what's your offer, Mr. Bussing? And there's really 4 areas highlighted in red. Get a free consultation, call now. Here's my phone number, toll free even. Put in your information and get on my mailing list. Yeah, that's really compelling, right? But that's the offer that he's making, and millions of financial advisors just like himself are doing the exact same thing. Here's a chiropractor's office. I do a lot of business with chiropractors. Okay, there's a lot of chiropractors out there. I go to a chiropractor. So basically, I'm looking at this team's website here and asking, what's the offer? Okay, the offer again in red. 2 phone numbers for 2 different locations. Okay, even less compelling than the first one. Now here is a gentleman. He's a kind of a psychologist, consultant type person. His name is not John Smith, but we changed his name to protect him in this marketing here. But anyway, this was what his website looked like. Now he tells us he gives a free consultation. That's pretty cool. He's got 9 areas that he specializes in. And he's even got a little video there that basically says, hey, I want to welcome you to Remarkable Parenting. You're going to get a lot of great information on the website. Give me a call. Okay, pretty basic, but a lot better than the last 2 you just saw. So again, what's his offers? He's got a free consultation. Call me in my numbers. Remarkable Parenting. That's a pretty good name. Kind of compelling and stuff. But and also, he's, like I say, he specializes in 10 areas. So to be honest with you, here he kind of downplays it a little bit, or hurts himself, I should say, is that he's got so many areas he's not really concentrating on any of them in most prospects' mind. Now, he's getting some people, and I want to talk about that. So when we applied the conversion equation formulas I showed you earlier, the report on this particular website, remember, this is a website. It's not a landing page. It's actual his website. He spent a lot of money on Facebook and Google ads. He's getting 300 leads per month. He's been doing this for several years. And I think because a lot of people know him and he's got other advertising pointing to his website, he picks up about 10% of those leads to give him a call and just basically ask about the free consultation. He converts about 3 of those to actually consent to his consultation. In other words, three out of 300 actually come into his office and have a 30-minute consultation with him. And so he gets 3, and basically out of that, he gets 3 new patients. He has a high percentage of conversion, converts almost every person that comes into his office. Why? Because he's got great information and it works. All right. But the problem is people don't know that just by looking at this website. So basically 1 or 2% of the people that are looking at say, well, this is another Me Too guy, yada, 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 and they can move on. There's nothing really to stop and pull them in. So when applying the equation, the conversion equation, we rewrote the doctor's video script. In the script, you'll hear him say, the interrupt. This is his headline. As a parent, are you struggling to gain control of your child's attitude and emotions? Again, there's only 1 of the 9 areas he's focused on. So we're just focusing on the screamy, bratty child that doesn't listen. Okay. Like we've never had one of those before. We were never one of those before, right? Sure. But we never knew how to deal with it properly. Dr. Smith does. And so that's our problem. We got a belligerent child. So in order to engage them, what is the solution? Is your child yelling and screaming at you while often displaying a belligerent and sometimes threatening tone that no matter what you do or try, you just can't seem to get it under control? Then he says, my name is Dr. Smith, and I help parents just like you every day learn the techniques that will solve these frustrating and destructive behavioral patterns once for all. In fact, let me prove it to you. He has a series of letters he sends out. And his offer is basically leave me your name and email in the box that that's really simple stuff. Your first name and your email, and I'll send you a series of 60-second techniques that will immediately restore peace and quiet in your home. Now, who in their right mind is not going to give the first name up along with their email to get a report that says, if you use this technique and within 60 seconds, your kid's going to stop being a nasty little booger, okay? Of course, everybody is. In fact, this is the ad that we put together for him. It's really on what we call a landing page. It's not a website. There's nothing to scroll around and look at. But basically, it says, there's a little boy, screaming his head off. Of course, she's a little redheaded too. Go figure, right? Sick and tired of yelling and screaming and belligerent attitude of your child. Now you can discover the secrets of controlling your child and instantly restoring peace and quiet in your home. Get the secrets to gaining and maintaining complete control of your child in less than 60 seconds. Pop in your name, your email address, hit the button, and instantly you're going to get what he promised. And that's going to be a thank you page. We'll show you in a second. But here's another one. Of course, it has a girl on it, so it made it a little different. She's a little bit older. Again, the exact same headlines, the exact same call to response. And when they click on that, not only they're going to get an email in their inbox with the report that tells you how to do this in 60 seconds or less. Also, Dr. John, as we call him, has a video here on his thank you page that goes through the exact same thing, except verbally. So thank you. My first secrets in video series will be in your delivered in your mailbox in a few moments. Okay. So people are gathering information. Dr. John knows that now. And so he sends a series of emails. And so, again, applying the conversion equation, he's still getting, his 300 leads per month because of the way he's advertising, the market he's advertising into. but now he's getting 60 or 20% request for his offer. So he's getting 6 people to consent to the consulting. So twice as many people are becoming his clients. He's getting 6 new and because his conversion rate is basically 100%, he gets 6 new patients. And every one of those patients fee is about $800, for a package of consultation revolving dealing with screaming, yelling, and belligerent child, amongst a few other things. So with 6 new clients each month at $800, that's $2,400 per month increase. In fact, that's $28,000 that he makes per year now. And this is just on 1 month. He's making $28,000 new income, and he hasn't spent a dime on advertising. He hasn't changed anything. Everything's exactly the same except his message, his dominating market position, and his compelling message that coordinates with the journey going on in the buyer's mind. You see how all this works pretty much now? In fact, there's another step that you have to do. Remember, only 1 or 2% of the people are actually interested in his product or service. So we're still talking about the 1 or 2%, that are looking at his message that time, but now twice as many of those 1 to 2%ers are actually getting information and now becoming his client. But what about the other 98% of the people that saw his message but didn't do anything right away? So we need to put together a drip campaign. Guess what the drip campaign is for Dr. John? Basically a series of videos and messages that relate to either that particular area or other areas involving the services that he provides. So we do a drip campaign in an automatic sequence. I mean, we all know about all the responders and stuff like that. And we add value communications. Okay, we tell briefly what can be done. And if you want to take and work it on your own, that's great. But if you want more, because you have some real troubles and you don't have time to deal with it yourself, now let's talk and come on in for free consultation and sends directly to the prospect every period of time, every couple of days, a week, a month, depending on what needs to be done. So a drip campaign follows the buyer's journey and communicates with customers or prospects on a predetermined schedule basis that nurtures the relationship through the stages of education to the purchase. So 98% of the people are either at the beginning of the buyer's journey or not quite reached the end of it. They're still in the educational phase. Okay, so you want to catch them. We want your name, Dr. John's name in this case, to be top of mind awareness with this group of people, these 300 people, every time they see his message. We call that lead nurturing. See, 80% of all sales occur between the 5th and 12th direct point of contact between the business and the potential client. Okay, and the only way to do that in today's market, quite frankly, is to send them information, particularly the information that they actually requested, through getting a series of free reports. Now, advertising saturation, this is what this is where the big businesses have the big bucks, and they'll throw as much advertising at you as they possibly can and test market, what works and not works. So they do multiple touches, and what we found out today is that it takes anywhere from 20 to 100 touch points before a prospect makes their buying decision in today's market. Okay, we don't have that kind of time, nor do we have that kind of money to throw away, just beating them to death like, it's almost like a Nazi type of message. The longer you say it and the louder you say it, the more truth it becomes. Okay, they practice that to the nth degree, unfortunately. But following the conversion equation, you was going to reduce those touch points to somewhere between 5 and 12 points of contact, which is really the real contacts that are meaningful to people too. So you can send out 100 messages, and if they're not meaningful, they really, in my opinion, they don't count as part of the 5 to 12 points of contact because they're not appropriate messages for that particular customer. So most businesses don't follow up with their prospects at all, believe it or not. They do a one-time ad, boom, they're gone. Facebook, boom, gone. Okay, no real follow-up. And this provides a huge window of opportunity for any business to position themselves as the dominant force in their industry. All right, so let's look at bringing back up this Dr. John's conversion equation again. We already looked at this information. He's making $2,400 a month, but this is 1 month. He does this on an average every month for 12 months solid. So let's just look at 1 month. He's generated 300 leads on average. 60 opt in for the free info offer, and 6 become clients. A whole lot better than 3 clients coming out of 300 leads. Now we have 6 clients coming out of 300 leads. This is what we call increase in client conversion. However, that means that there are 54 qualified prospects that did not engage in his services. So they opted in for the information, but they didn't buy. They didn't call them. They didn't write. It's kind of like, where are these people? All right. Well, those 54 prospects go into the drip campaign. So somewhere over the next 6 to 12 months, 3 months maybe, we're working on making them clients as well by sending continuous messages. So let's assume, and this is what truly happens, out of that drip campaign, he picks up an additional 2 clients every month. So now he's got 8 clients coming in new every month. So basically, if you add it all up over a 12-month period of time, this is kind of what it looks like over a course of a year, how many prospects he's getting. And that's 4,080 prospects on average. So let's say about 4,000 prospects. 72 of those, or 6 out of every month, become clients. That means 156 new clients are going in. Basically, he's getting 156 new clients. So by the end of month 12, let's just say we didn't do the drip campaign, he's got 30 new clients coming in every month. Question is, can that doctor handle that logistically? Okay, so going from 3 clients to 30 clients every month, that's about 360 clients per year. I mean, for one man, with half-hour to 1-hour sessions with each one of them, that could be a lot of time and could explode his business. So one of the things that we suggested, and he's done these, he kind of, he has a special package pricing, but I told him, I said, Dr. John, have you ever increased your prices in the last 23 years that you owned your business? Have you ever increased your prices? I said, maybe once a long time ago when I first started, but it's pretty much been about $800, for the last 15, 20 years. I said, as inflation kind of made all your other expenses go up. Yeah. Okay. What do you think about your prices? Yeah, they probably should go up. Okay. So one of the most closely guarded secrets in businesses that big businesses don't want you to know is that they want you to continue to discount to get more clients. I'm telling you to stop discounting. Because remember, when you discount your price, you're losing the full value of every dollar that you discount. In fact, you need to innovate your business so your offer is actually more valuable, add more value. So as long as people see that the value of what you're offering is 2, 3, 4 times what they believe they ought to be paying for it, they're going to knock your door down trying to get to you, and they have no problem paying that price. That means even if you increase your prices. So increase your prices. In fact, consider this. When was the last time you saw a business offer a measly 10% discount? It's like, it sounds, like that might happen, but really most of the time, if you really do a lot of research, you'll find out, like I did, most of the time the offers are between 20 and 40% discounts, and then they only just scratch their heads and wondering why they're still going broke. Well, they're losing profit right off the top, and they're not really impacting their clients, their prospects to become clients. In fact, to add even more bad news on top of this, or a hugely bleak scenario, did you know that the latest research shows that discounting doesn't actually impact the prospect's buying decision unless that discount is 40% or more? And I walk into my favorite men's clothing store, and I only buy clothes, quite frankly, when they're practically giving it away. And it's almost like I cannot not buy it. Particularly, I like to buy my winter clothes just after the Easter holiday, right before the Easter holiday, because then they're discounting. I mean, I bought a $180 corduroy jacket a couple of springs ago for a winter season, and I paid only $2 for it. I mean, I'd have to be an idiot to turn that down. So this is kind of what we're talking about here. So let me run a quick video on pricing here, maybe to kind of shed some light on. Oops, let me go back one there. Let me shed some light on what we're talking about here. Okay.
Have you ever asked yourself the question, how much more money could I make if I increased my prices? Perhaps you've asked that question before, but there comes a warning in your brain. Be careful. If you raise your prices, you'll lose customers. Optimizing pricing is a complex and sensitive topic. Let's say you sell a widget for $100 and your net profit is 15% or $15. You decide to increase that price by 5% to $105. That additional $5 is all profit, 100% of it. You don't say I'll make 15% of that $5 increase. You get to account for all of it. So if you originally make a $15 profit on a $100 sale, you'll now make a $20 profit on that same sale. That's a 33% increase in profits. Sometimes the market will allow a certain price increase, but they will embrace it more easily if you clearly state the reason why. If you clearly state the reason for your higher prices in a manner that is logically acceptable to your market, then this extra profit represents enormous leverage through your entire business. But keep this in mind. Often those customers who do leave you after a price increase are likely the ones who are the biggest complainers, need the most customer support, are normally behind in their payments, and generally cause the greatest amount of stress in your day. This means by increasing your prices, you can make more money and deal with fewer customers. It can restore the joy of doing business. It frees up your customer support line, or it allows you to reassign your staff to more important tasks. You can then serve your clients at a higher level, and this increases your value proposition. And with a higher value proposition, you'll attract more high-value customers willing to pay you a higher price. If we could create a perception of higher value and communicate it to your customers in such a way that they understand and accept that value, by what percent do you think you could raise your prices? You can find that 80% of your revenues will come from 20% of your client base. Assess which 20% and make sure they're getting the red carpet treatment versus always worrying and babysitting the moaners and complainers. This exercise will be a needle mover for your company's profitability.
I think you get the point there. It's like, go ahead and raise your prices. I mean, raise them by 10% today. Okay. Don't sit there, come up with a reason why, but don't sit there and wonder, oh, how many clients I'm going to lose. Trust me, you'll make more money, and the more money you make is going to more than cover the amount of potential clients that you will lose, if hardly any. And again, those clients that usually walk away are your price shoppers anyway, the people that cause you the most questions and concerns. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get rid of everybody. If you want to make, if you have a, more of a charitable situation you're working with, go ahead and, give them a discount, or just do it. Actually, believe it or not, I would just do it for free if you feel that strongly about it. Don't bother charging your charitable cases. Just pick up a few pro bonos like lawyers do, that sort of thing. Okay, you'd be better off in the long run for that, and they'll appreciate it, I think, in the long run. All right, so if we increase our prices, we get a whole lot more clients. Of course, by increasing the price, you're going to lose a few clients, and that's perfectly fine, because I want you to grow your business but not explode your business. Now, if you don't have any financial statements in your business, you're going to have no clue where in the world how fast you can grow your business. There actually is what we call the maximum growth rate as a percentage of sales, which is delineated in this formula, which comes from a number of ratios that are on your financial statement. If you have an accountant, they know what those ratios are. When I had my own CPA firm, I used to provide the ratios as an addendum to the financial statement. So you can put this growth rate formula together. Now, most accountants probably won't know about this growth rate thing, but when you get more into studying MBA type classes like I've done, then you'll see this information, and it becomes very valuable and a very useful tool, and I use it for all my financial clients. In fact, if you have trouble as a business owner, you can use your financial statements to generate sales and profits. In fact, we have a whole series basically that covers understanding your financial statements to create more profits. And this is an example of part 7 of 8, how to discover your business's financial potential. Now you can see on the side there, what the titles are, the 8, basically understanding the power of your financials, options for increasing revenue. I mean, does anybody ever told you can use your financial statements, particularly profit and loss, to increase your revenues? Well, of course you can. You just need to know how to do that, and that's where our course teaches. Factors affecting cost of goods sold, 6 ways to lower your cost of goods sold, multiple ways to lower overhead, cutting costs. We're going to talk about that in a second. How to build your P&L from scratch. You don't have a profit and loss statement. Trust me, there's only 3 elements you need to know, and the rest is detail. Okay. How to discover your financial business's financial potential. And because of popular demand, people are always into Facebook marketing, how much you can actually spend and still make a profit using Facebook. Okay, that's a little extra aside. All right. Now, what I want to show you is when we make small incremental changes in the 5 areas that we just talked about, getting more leads. Let's start. Basically, all I want to do is make small incremental improvements, and the gains in each area, which use a compounding type effect, will produce significant overall gains. So let's say we have a client is currently bringing in 1,000 leads when he first meets with us. He's able to convert 1 out of 4 clients. So he's getting 250 customers out of every 1,000, he's getting 250 customers. On average, a year, he gets 10 transactions from those 250 customers, and his average price is $100. And after all is said and done, his sales are $250,000, and 25% of that is his profit, or basically his take-home pay is $62,500. Now, let's just say we increase every one of those areas by 10%, those 5 areas we just kind of briefly went over. So we got 1,100 leads because we redid our marketing a little bit better, just like we did with the Dr. John. We're able to convert more, one, because we have a better message, and I'm going to teach you some better sales techniques to be able to close better deals. So let's say we increase that by 10%. We now got a little over 300 clients. We're able to get 11 transactions now, another 10% increase, increased our prices by $10. That's $10 pure profit. And so now our sales are at $366,000. We decreased some of our costs to increase our gross profit margin. So now we're taking home $100,000. And we did literally next to nothing other than changing the message, changing the way we do things, and even cutting costs in the process. Now, who would want to do that? Now we have, let's try 50%, because sometimes I ask people, if we change your market dominating, get into a market dominating position and put it in your messaging, what do you think that might increase your sales by? A lot of people say, well, it would double or triple. So, well, let's go a little more conservative and say by 50%. So now we got 1,500 new clients coming in. We've increased our conversions by 50%. So we're converting 1 in 3 instead of 1 in 4. That's 563 new customers. We're getting 15 sales out of them. Our price is now $150 per unit per transaction. That's a $1.2 million sales for the year. We increased our gross profits because we're able to decrease our cost even more significantly, particularly in the area of taxes and cost of goods sold, leaving us a nice gross profit of nearly $500,000. Okay, so going from $62,000 at the beginning of the year to $500,000 at the end of the year, what kind of person would want to do this? Now, in order for this to happen, usually I'm working with people either in a group setting or a one-to-one setting. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But here in this particular instance, we're talking a 760% growth. And all we did was deduct costs. We didn't add costs at all. Okay, we actually rearranged the way we manage our advertising. In fact, small increases in 5 areas generate massive profits, as we see. So we had a 10% and a 50%. You can see how that compounds. And to be honest with you, 50% gains is child's play in my business. Okay, that Dr. John, his increase in sales was over 1,100%. Okay, in new leads in particular. Okay, so 50% is fairly reasonable to do. In fact, we call it child's play. And achievable incremental improvements in these fundamental 5 areas generate exponential growth, as you can easily see, without us spending additional dollars on marketing and advertising. Okay, so let's talk about cutting costs. As one area we haven't touched on. There's 2 areas I like to talk about. One is the legal structure. And there's 5 different legal structures. You got sole proprietor, LLC, partnership, S Corp and C Corporation. And there's no best structure for any of these businesses. Each structure has its own strong and weak points. With that said, when choosing a legal structure for your small business, you need to ask yourself basically two questions. One, how much liability am I personally willing to accept? Well, the answer is none. Okay. And number two question is, how much income taxes am I willing to pay out? The answer should be obviously none. Okay. Or very little. All right. Sometimes you just don't have a choice. All right. But it's close to zero as we can possibly get the answer to those questions. So I developed this chart of advantages, disadvantages, which tax forms to use, and basically the summary. But basically, most of the small business owners basically making less than $7 million a year in sales are either going to be an LLC or an S corporation. A lot of it depends on the number of people involved in the ownership. But the nice thing about S corporations and LLCs, they don't usually pay the taxes. The individual pays the taxes at a lower tax rate. C corporation has a higher tax rate and is taxed twice. Once the corporation pays tax, and then on those tax profits, if you take those out, then you're paying tax on it again as a dividend as an owner or even as a salary. Okay. And there's different ways to handle each one of these. Professionals you should consult with. We'd be glad to talk to you about that. Now, income tax reduction is a strategy that you have to start now, not wait until April 15th, because by April 15th, it's all over but the crime. Okay. So as Judge Lernerhan said a number of years ago, is very popular appellate court judge, particularly in the tax law. He said, anyone may so arrange their affairs that their taxes shall be as low as possible. They are not bound to choose a pattern that will best pay the Treasury, and no one owes any public duty or pay more than the law demands. This is the government saying that. Of course, the IRS ain't going to tell you that, but that's what is the case. Okay, they tell you they'll tell you what you can take as a deduction, but they're not going to tell you to take it. All right, so it's a game. We're trying to win this game, just like Notre Dame trying to beat Michigan, and vice versa. Okay, we're trying to push the ball in our direction towards our goal line, not theirs. Okay, so understand though, there's a legal approach and an illegal approach. And to understand the distinction is like understanding the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance will save you $5 or $10 on your income tax return. Tax evasion will get you 5 to 10 years in the slammer. Okay, so understand evasion is just a way of saying cheating. Okay, you're basically lying. Avoidance is taking advantage of the tax law and understanding that. Here's some income tax reduction strategies we call income splitting. In many small businesses, the whole family pitches in to make the business successful, particularly in the early on years. So you can hire your child to do business chores for you, for example, and you can turn a non-deductible allowance into a deductible wage. So instead of giving the kids money to clean up the house, turn them into a wage, and you're going to save yourself self-employment tax if you're a sole proprietor, as well as income taxes for the company. Earned income on such wages and salaries arise from personal services. Unlike earned income, unlike unearned income, there is no $100,000 ceiling on the amount of earned income that you can be transferred to your children. So there's no limit to how much earned income you can transfer, but you can't transfer much in the way of unearned income. Okay, so as long as you have a child and they're under the age of 18 and they work for you, the parent, in the sole proprietor business, you can pay them up to $12,400 from your higher tax bracket, which is probably about 28% federal, to their lower tax bracket, which is, guess what? 0. Why? Because they each have each human being living in the United States has a standard deduction, and it's $12,400. So you pay them $12,400 and no income tax. You can pay them a little bit more and open up an IRA for them and deduct that as well. So it can be somewhere in the neighborhood of $18,000 and still not pay any taxes on it. So in this case, though, the income tax savings will be about $3,500 per employed child. So I like to say any business owner who pays for their children's college educations with after-tax dollars is just plain foolish. Now that they know they don't have to. Okay, fair enough? Let's just say you don't have any children. Well, remember, there's no limitation on the number of corporations you can own. I mean, if you can write a piece of paper and fill out a corporate application, you can own another corporation. In fact, the lowest tax rate for a C corporation is 15% on the first $50,000 of profit. So if you're making $100,000, you want to pay 15% on that, then you have two corporations and the profits are $50,000 in each. Basically, the secondary C corporations invoice your primary C corporation for large expenditure items that would result in a separate business line item. And examples of that kind of would be like marketing and advertising expenses, an IT service company, and leased employee company. All right. Again, this will take some professional guidance as well. I'll be glad to help you with that. Well, let's just say you have a pretty big tax bill and you want to go even deeper than that and less cumbersome. So if you have a tax bill greater than $80,000 a year, you may be able to take advantage of a 4% corporate tax rate under Act 60 benefits, which include 4% fixed income tax rate on eligible income, 100% tax exemption on dividends, 75% on property tax, 50% exemption on license tax, and it's granted for 15 years. We do this by changing the tax jurisdiction to all places, Puerto Rico. Okay, the United States tax laws allow that to happen for you. All right, so we quickly covered in less than an hour, I believe now, right at an hour, 12 areas of your business. We talked about 5 of the financial breakthroughs in 12 of these areas. There's 12. There's actually 40 total, as we saw at the beginning, but these are the main 12. And my former business coach and one of my mentors, Brian Tracy, who I spent more money working with Brian as my business coach than I did actually going getting my undergrad in college, an accounting degree. But Brian always said, and this is in his book, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, anyone can learn from their own mistakes. A truly wise person, a truly smart person learns from the mistakes of other people. Okay, that makes sense though when you really think about it. Because the fact of the matter is, you can't live long enough to learn from all your own mistakes. And if other people have made the mistakes, particularly big business, and they're willing to share with you how they amended their mistakes, then it makes a lot of sense for you to sit up and take notice, right? Of course it does. All right, so let me put it all together for you real quick. And I have a program that I help with 900 other fellow consultants in our co-op. It's a program called Profit Acceleration Software. And what I want to do is I want to show you a simulator, which is basically a pared down simulation of what the results are inside this detailed simulator. And inside the Profit Acceleration Simulator, there's actually 497 billion algorithms of successful business decisions that were made in order to come up with the results that you'll have in the simulator. It's all done pretty much at a blink of an eye when we answer the questions along with you. And so let's just take a look at. Let's just say, for example, again, this is just something you can play around with, and I can send you this later. But let's just say your current revenues are $100,000. You're small service business, say you're a consultant like myself. Gross profit margin, this means your cost of goods sold, probably about a third of what you bring in. So gross profit margin is going to be 65%. You're probably going to take home a third, and a third for overhead expenses like advertising, things like that. Your net profit margin going to be about 33%, and we're talking US dollars here. So, all right, so here we have our 12 areas of profit impact. So we're making $100,000 a year. Before taxes, we're dealing with $33,000. And not very good rate of return for working for yourself in a small business. It's not bad, but we can do better. All right. So let's just say we want to change in of these 12 areas, just do enough work to change that by an impact of 3% in each of those areas. Okay. And it's really, 3%, we've already saw 50% is child's play. So let's look at what 3% does. So on $100,000, we're adding about an 85% to our profits. So even though we've only added $38,000 in new revenues, we've almost doubled our sales. Doubled our annual profit. Okay. So by doing a little bit of work in all these different areas, we can double our net profits. Do you think that's worth your time? I do. And I do this in my real estate business along with my wife, and it's worked wonders. So let's look at what happens if we do this with all 40 areas. So adding other areas like developing policy procedures, web optimization, email marketing, video marketing, scripts, sales teams, those sort of things. Okay. Now we're able, just with small incremental things, small incremental things applied to each one of these areas. We're talking about now increasing your profit margin by over four times. So going from $33,000 to $176,000 in new annual profits, and only not even doubling sales. Okay, so if you see my bio, on one of the bios, I placed, one of my companies, one of the first companies I worked when I was 28 years old. Within 12 months, by doing a lot of these things, we didn't have computers really this sophisticated back then, but we doubled the sales and tripled the profits by doing a lot of what we said right here. And we didn't lose a single person, even though when I first got into that business, they didn't bother to tell me when they hired me on that they were about 60 days from going into bankruptcy and only had about $8,000 and a 20-member payroll to make at the end of the month. So we took a lot of this information, and over 12 months of time, we never lost a single person, never missed a payroll, and we were able to double the sales and triple the profit. So I know it can be done. I've done it on other numerous businesses. And in this particular instance, I know this is a fact that we can double your sales and triple your profits. In this case, it's almost just quadruple the profits in this example. So, and the other cool part about it is if you do get to a place, let's say I want to retire or sell this business, this business is worth about $350,000. You could sell it on the open market and get rid of it quick for $355,000. I know people that can help you do that. If you go to this website right up here, smallbusinessismybusiness.com/simulator, and you can fill this out for yourself. Drop me an email or a note inside the drop box, inside the chat box. And once you click here to send you fill this out, and then you can click here and get a 12-month roadmap. Okay, so you can kind of play with it. It's a free thing online that I have, so go ahead and play with it, and see what you can do. All right, so remember Michael, my avatar client, back at the beginning? I said, well, these are Michael's problems. Now it's like I need a solution to help Michael fix his problems. Well, here's the solutions. First of all, the solution is invite him to my former Big Four CPA Reveals workshop, which you just been through. I tell him about the 5 different secrets, and at the end of the webinar, I'm going to ask him to check out a special offer on my group coaching. Now, my group coaching, which is what I call a Small Business Academy group coaching, can be found at former Big Four CPA Reveals.info, not .com, but .info. This is where you can get all the details and sign up for the group coaching. And so during the group coaching, we spend 52 weeks. Well, actually, I'll go through that in a minute here. But the reason why I'm sending Michael here is so he can spend more time with family and friends instead of working all the time without investing heavily in a sales force or advertising to grow his revenues. Now, if Michael wants to increase revenues by up to $500,000 annually by making small 3% adjustments in the 40 business areas that we just talked about, and build a lucrative business with predictable, and this is key, predictable recurring revenue, and to live the life of a successful entrepreneur, then the Small Business Academy coaching program is definitely for him. So what do you get when you sign up as a Small Business Academy group coaching participant? Well, the first thing you're going to receive, which is the program itself, is the Small Business 52 Weekly Group Coaching Academy, which the sessions, I do the sessions myself. And you can include up to 5 people from your company. This could be a business partner, a spouse, office manager, your accountant, your advisor. You can have 5 people all on your call or on your website during the session at the same time. And how I usually run those is that I have a live instruction by myself. Then we'll do what we call a hot seat, where 2 or 3 people who volunteer to have their particular issues addressed personally by not only myself, but by the group. Then at the end, we'll have an open question and answer, basically from anybody there on the floor. I do provide email support during the week, and once per month, you can get a personal 30-minute coaching call with myself outside of the group. And you can see some of the areas that we're dealing with here. It's all lined out, ready to go. How to 90 days to a 7-figure foundation, creating the marketing, using your financial statements as your secret weapon, and then profit growth strategies, several of which we've already touched on during this webinar. Now, part of that, not only we go through that once per week per session in detail, but you can also access that anytime online, 24/7. We call that the Ultimate 52-Week Virtual MBA program. So all these programs are online. You can access them at any time. So you don't really, each lesson is about 30 to 45 minutes in length, the videos are, and they have a downloadable workbook that you can follow along, take notes, and work out your business ideas on there. So therefore, when you come back to the session, then you're able to have some questions that we can answer for you more directly, or explain some things. Maybe you heard some stuff and you weren't quite sure. So these two actually work hand in hand. You're usually going to follow the lesson that we're working on that week, do it online, so that you come back the next week, we're able to ask good questions. All right. Now, in addition to part of the group coaching, you also get our $1 million ad library of copyable examples for literally hundreds of businesses. This is worth about $5,000. And so we have nearly 100 different industries. This is a quick example of a few of them, and dozens of ad examples to copy for your personal use. So that's all part of the group coaching. Now, another thing that we have is a special surprise, is that not only do I get to coach you, but you can listen in on marketing classes. I usually on a 9 and 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, from a number of our people that we're able to bring in who are world-known marketing experts, like Mark Cuban and Les Brown, Jeff Bezos. Whether you like him or not, he stood out and get ideas. Okay, and that right there is worth $6,000. People pay up to $6,000 to have one of those lessons all year long. Now, though you got all those items, those are all part of the program, but also if you register from this particular workshop, I'm going to throw in 3 bonuses as well. Now, we talked briefly about the profit acceleration software. I showed you the simulator. Well, I'm going to like to take you in one-on-one for about 45 minutes, talk about 3 to 5 different areas, and go into really some big detail to show you exactly what it can do for your business. And we'll do it by a Zoom meeting. And I'm going to guarantee you within that 45 minutes, I'm going to find you $100,000 in new revenues for your specific business during our conversation. And that, when I go through that and somebody else says, well, I want you to go through all 12 areas and send me the report, I do that for $5,000. That's all included inside the group coaching program. Also, we briefly talked about the financial training for small business owners. We talked about the 8 different programs. There are videos and workbooks to go along with those. I usually sell that to accountants for just under $1,000. So that's where that price comes from. Also, I have a coordinating book called 45 Minute Small Business Breakthroughs that you can have. All right. So to kind of sum up, basically you get the Small Business Academy, which is the live coaching with me 1 time a week for about an hour, up to 5 people. Nobody else gives you 5 people to join for one price. I do that. So let's say, for example, let's say you, the owner, can't make it, but your other people can. You can also bring in a 5th place person to replace you. So you can always have 5 people in this live coaching session from your company, or it could be a family member as well. Someone that's an interest in your business, and that's valued at just about $12,000 right there per year. Get online access to the Small Business Academy, which is the coordinated online 24/7 MBA training course. That's almost $10,000 value on that. The $1 million ad library for $5,000. The weekly marketing web classes with the marketing experts from all around the world. We just briefly showed you a handful of them. That's worth $6,000 plus the 3 bonuses. The profit acceleration software and report, $5,000 value. Financial training of 8 online videos that help you learn how to use your financial statements to make more money, $1,000 value, and my book, 45 Minute Small Business Breakthroughs, will guarantee you $100,000 in new revenues if you take advantage of what we teach. That's valued at $49. So when you add it all up, you're dealing with about $39,000 if you were to pay the rack price. And that's about $3,250 per month for over a 12-month period of time. But because you're not buying it individually, you're going to get this as part of the group coaching. So not you will not pay, $32.50 a month. I mean, that's just a little ridiculous. So no one's going to do that. You won't even pay half of that, $16.50 a month. In fact, by registering through the webinar, your fee for all these services, all this information is just $4.97 a month. And guess what? You can come to the first group session for free. So you can see how it works during the group session. And if you like it, then we'll process your membership fee at that time. Okay. In fact, you can also bring 5 people. So basically, what do you get for the $4.97 a month is up to 5 people can come to the live workshops. It's done every Friday. Oh, you have to do this by Friday at 5 p.m. Otherwise, the discount goes offline. So you have till Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time to apply for this particular discount. And you go to it. How do you apply? You go to former Big Four CPA Reveals.info, not .com, but .info. And the first group session is free, but you have to register through former Big Four CPA Reveals.info. So all your information will be there. And if you decide at the end of that first free session to say, well, hey man, this is not for me, let's basically say I'm not interested at this point, it's not for me, then you simply you just tell me, and there will be no charge to your account. But you also have that first free session with the information that you can use. It's always useful. Nobody ever goes away without having something useful they're going to make money at. And we do this via Zoom, which is weekly on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. So if you can't make that particular week on Tuesday at 7, I hope you can. I have to be there because I'm the one doing it, right? So if it's not, then it's going to be recorded. All my sessions are recorded, and it'll be emailed out to all the members, whether they're there or not, including your other 4 participants. Okay, so everybody, the 5 people in your firm can take advantage of this either live and or receive it via email as a recorded session. Okay, in fact, what I'd like to do is go over there at the moment. All right, so once you go to the .info site, that's former Big Four CPA Reveals.info. If you want to start dominating your market and become a member, you need to become a member of the Small Business Academy Group Coaching Club. This is the best bang for your buck, because if you're going to pay for individual services and do one at a time, you'll end up paying me $39,000, at least at today's prices. And nobody needs to be doing that. In fact, I don't charge anybody retail prices. I have other ways of making it happen. But anyway, so what you're going to get again is you get the weekly group 52 weeks group coaching calls, group coaching sessions, which live by me, hot seat participants, usually 2 or 3 a week. Could be you, could be your neighbor. We'll have a question and answer from the floor. I have email support, 30-minute personal coaching call per month with Ken, that's me, and each session is recorded for playback. You're also going to get the corresponding online MBA training course, the $1 Million Ad Library, the weekly marketing web classes by the internationally known marketing professionals. And as a bonus, 3 bonuses: the profit acceleration assessment. We're going to give you the financial training small business online videos so that you can learn about using your financial statements. And the 3rd bonus, of course, is my book. Again, the fee for these services is simply just $4.97 a month. The first group session is free, and we do not bill your account until after you come to the first session, and then you tell us, yes, I'm going to continue. So there's a number of reasons why you can spend your time looking at this, why I lead these group sessions. Simply, I really want you to make money in small business. I've made money in small business. I think you can too. In fact, I have a way of doing it in such a manner. If you want to be a one-on-one client, let's say you want to make $500,000 in the next 12 to 18 months, then what I do is you bring me on as a one-to-one type client, and basically my fee for services is 15% of the increase each month. So if you're at 100,000 and you go to 110, I get 15% of, maybe 20, depending on, it's 15 to 20%, depending on the type of business and the volume and the effort that needs to be done. But generally it's closer to 15. So if you're sales increase by 10,000 that month, and 15% of that would be our fee. If we don't make anything, so if we have no results, there's no fee. How bad can that be? All right, so something to think about if you want to go down that road. But that's over and beyond this business coaching. In fact, if you hire me as a one-on-one, you automatically become a member of the coaching academy club. Okay, we have some videos here that you can look at to kind of give you some more examples of what kind of information you'll see in the coaching sessions. Also have about 5 clients who have successfully completed our programs. In fact, one of them is a marketing executive. So, the marketing executives see this as a good thing. Maybe you might as well. I do want to encourage you to act right now, because if I'm making you $500,000 a year in sales, that's what you're leaving on the table by not hiring us over a 12-month period of time. That's $500,000. You really only have about 1,000 billable hours. I mean, time you actually spend working with your clients. At $500 an hour, that's what's going to make you $500,000. And I don't care if you're a CPA, a chiropractor, realtor, contractor, shopkeeper, musician, author. It really doesn't matter. I can and have grown many businesses from $500,000 to $2 million. The only question you got to ask yourself is, are you committed to your business success? If you are, then become a member of the Small Business Academy and take advantage of these free bonuses. And we'll see where it goes from there. Again, my guarantee is attend your first group session, at the end of which you decide this isn't for you. You will not be charged a single dime, and you can keep the first and the third bonus, which is my book and the Profit Acceleration Assessment, absolutely free, with my thanks, no questions asked. Fair enough? You can see a little bit of information about myself that I've already went over. Go to the bottom of the page, drop in your name and your email, and then how you want to compensate us for the membership. Drop that in there and place your order. You'll immediately be enrolled in our next group session, which will meet on the next Tuesday at 7 o'clock on the Zoom meeting, and you'll get an email to that effect. In fact, when you place the order, you'll also receive my book in a downloadable fashion as the first free gift, and then you'll start receiving some other information from us, usually in the form of videos, before the class starts. And then once we have our first group we have a small business group coaching session, and then we'll chat a little bit to make sure that you're willing to stay on board and move forward and find out what you want to do specifically to be successful. That way, I can arrange to speak specifically to each participant in the room instead of in vague generalities like we do, unfortunately, on the webinar. So that's what we have to offer you. If for some reason this is still outside your budget, maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you just want to put your toe in the water, we do have, and I will send you an email, but you can get just the Small Business Academy. In other words, it's a do-it-yourself. Let me get back up there. Basically, it's a do-it-yourself. Here it is. The online access to the Small Business Academy. If by Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, you say, yeah, I really like to get my toe in the water, get started, but I can't afford $497. I'm just not willing to go down that road at this point for the full group. Let me just get my toe in the water with the MBA virtual training course. Then basically, and I'll send you a coupon code, you can go on my website and order that and get one lesson sent to you every week for 52 weeks, and it'll only be $49 per month. That's a huge discount. And I said before, not to give discounts, but I'm more concerned about you being successful in business, and any information I can give you, you're going to make money. And it won't be long before you say, honest, I made a few dollars, I'd like to invest that in my training. When I started in the insurance business back right about 22 years ago, I went to the convention because I'd done well in business. I was pretty decent in sales at that time, but I really got better when I got in the insurance business. And Brian Tracy and both Tom Hopkins were both at that convention and did their little spiel on different days. And I realized really quick, man, this is the information I got to have if I'm going to be successful. So I was able to save about $10,000 from my profits from working really hard, and selling fixed annuities to people. And I was able to put $10,000 away, and I went to my first training camp with Tom Hopkins, and I learned how to sell really good. And I kept going back for about 5 years. And the more money I made, the more I invested into my education. And so my biggest year that I had at that time was I went from making $80,000 before going to the camp, the Tom Hopkins camp, learning to sell. I made, within 2 years, I was up to $1.2 million in income, simply because I learned how to sell properly using the right techniques. And that's all the stuff I'm going to train you to. So investing in yourself is probably the best thing you can do, even if you got to start small. And because I went through that, I didn't get, Tom gave me some discounts to start with. That was all fine and dandy, but $10,000 is still a lot of money. But for as little as $49 a month, I'd love to get you started in the academy. Start getting you moving in the right direction at a small cost, because I know for you it's going to pay big dividends. So if your road is a little bit longer, just like mine was, that's fine. Okay. But if you're ready, if you're a big business now, let's say you're making $2.5 million, you want to go to $3.5 million, and you want some help doing that, I'm your guy. We'll do a one-on-one. You'll get the coaching academy with everything that's included that we talked about, but you'll also get my attention, and I'll work for you essentially for 15% commission of the increased values, basically like your fractional sales manager. Fair enough? All right, so go to the website, www.formerbig4cpareveals.info. Check out the information, make a guaranteed 100% money back guaranteed commitment for the first session. And there's no money after that unless you want to continue on. And then we'll just take it one step at a time. Fair enough? All right. Well, you have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time. This program went for about 87 minutes. So I appreciate your time. It's like a good soccer match. No overtime. So anyway, I appreciate your time. You have a wonderful week. Look forward to working with you. And here's to your success.